Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for the BattleCon tournament. Majority of the discussion will most likely be that, but also our overall thoughts on BattleCon in general after playing 42 total games.
That's a lot of games.
It is a shit ton of games, and that's with a third of the characters. Mm-hmm. So essentially, if my math checks out, there's about 90 plus. There were, 36 total characters.
Okay.
That's not true. Sorry. 36 total characters because there were 6 tournaments. Mm. So essentially we got 42 games out of that with the Champion of Champions. So let's remove that because those were 36 games. We could essentially do 3 total tournaments with completely different fighters.
Whole new
each time. So what's that? 60, 72, 108 total games you can get of unique matchups. That's pretty disgusting. But kind of like with the Dice Throne tournament that Josh and I did, I never want to do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, like...
It's rough.
It's
a rough game to play a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah, especially whenever we were trying to beat it. I will say, the final advanced tournament where we did 5 games in a row, and the Champion of the Champions we did 5 games in a row, I felt went way better and way less stressful than doing 10 games of Dice Throne.
Yeah.
Because Dice Throne was just random, and it just felt bad when you were doing nothing just because randomness didn't go your way. Mm-hmm. At least in here, you almost always have a semblance of control, and it's just your opponent is doing better than you and reading you, or you're personally playing sloppy with a certain character. Then it's like, well, okay, that's my bad, versus, like, I have something to blame, versus just, oh, well, look, the dice didn't go my way.
Yeah.
But, man... okay, so we gave BattleCon, I want to say a 9 out of 10, or I don't think we went up to a 10 out of 10. Maybe you did. Mm-hmm.
I don't think I gave it a 10.
I don't know if
I have very few 10s.
Yeah.
I do a lot of 9s and 8s.
Right.
10 has to really just tickle my my gooch.
Right. And you're the only one that I play this game with. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, after the tournament, does your opinion of BattleCon change?
It is, like, I like the game. It has the good bones. But, yeah, it is a very competitive game. Mm-hmm. And if you're any kind of competitive mindedness, it'll kind of get to you.
Yeah.
It'll wear on you.
Yeah. Especially, when you're playing against someone who is just, like, reading you the entire time and you're just getting your ass
beat. Fuck Seth.
Not even him specifically. It's just the fact of... It's like if you were to go and play like Mortal Kombat or something, and you're just getting no hits in.
No, it hurts the soul.
Yeah.
So it's very much that, and they definitely give you the tools. It's all open knowledge. There's a few characters with mechanics to circumnavigate that a little bit. Mm-hmm. But
mainly Enderbite.
Yeah,
I would say he's the only one.
Yeah, tall and short of it. You know what the opponent can do. They know what you can do. Mm-hmm. If you take the time, you can kind of zero it out to where you know the specifics. And try to account for that, but... Yeah.
And think of all the options where it's like, okay, that's most likely what they're doing, but if they do this, can I also still survive that?
Right.
And that's one of the best parts of the game. I agree. I still like BattleCon, but I think after so many games, it has opened up a wide array of flaws.
Yeah.
That in a game that's meant to be extremely precise, when you have gray areas on shit, that can determine a fight. Yeah. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, when there's 90 plus characters and they all have different mechanics.
Yeah.
There's definitely a few things that, or you feel like, oh, maybe that mechanic should have worked this way or that way. Our Bane Veer incident, our In Between with Jin. I mean, those are the first that immediately come to mind because we just played with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a handful.
Victor not being clear on his conditions, that if they're face up or face down. If they're face up,
right? It feels like I'd feel a little bit better face down because it's like, okay, now you don't know, but it's like, okay, I know that's what's going on, so I never have to do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's those gray areas that because there's no community support or not even community support. I believe it should never be on the community to design your game.
Yeah.
It's like that should be on their website as an FAQ. They should have accounted for all those kind of contingencies instead of being like, oh, let's just throw these fighters in. Because like you said, it's very competitive. And if you're playing a character and you're like, well, this is his whole thing, and it's not working, not against like hard counters. That's any fighting game. I like the fact that there's hard counters. I don't like being on the other side of the hard counters, but I like the fact that they're there because even hard counters in video games, you can circumnavigate to a degree. But being like, well, this character is absolutely useless, and it was very frustrating. This is also one of those games that, like, whenever we first did it, I remember around the first 2 novice tournaments, we had considered just quitting the tournament.
Yeah.
Because it was just getting so frustrating on both ends. Either if one person swept and the other person swept, it just... But I think we ended up taking a break for a little bit and then came back and just kind of... I felt like we did well the other ones. But we were just like, okay, well, the intermediate tournaments, we just did like 2.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay... And then the last few, we just kind of bum rushed.
We're almost there.
I think
through.
Yeah, I think the frustrating part of the initial ones, and you can agree or disagree, was the fact that we had only played, prior to the tournament, a select few of fighters. So the first tournament, whoever won kept going with that character. And it became kind of unfair if it's like, oh, I've seen them fight, so now I'm going to play this character now I know how they work. And you've never seen me play a character, so you don't know how to counter mine. And it's and I feel like that can definitely sway a game if one person has more information than another.
Yeah, when you're a little more comfortable, it doesn't take as much time to consider your options, for sure.
Yeah.
But I'd say, at the end of the day, this is a game I like owning.
Yeah.
I don't know what I like it.
Yeah.
I like it as a box set, 90 fighters, pretty neat, quick pickup, kind of a cool fighting game with no randomness, no dice, nothing like that. Just here are the cards you get. These are the cards you can play. It does have different mods, like boss fighting, but that requires more friends.
That's true.
That are also into fighting card games.
Right. Because this game is not intuitive.
Yeah, this isn't a girlfriend-friendly game.
No, it's not. No, it's also not even really like, I don't know, because you would think, oh, if you're going to go and get friends, it's like, oh, do you like Smash or do you like Mortal Kombat? Do you like Street Fighter? It's like, you like those because you don't really have to think all that much when you're playing them, unless you're in a tournament. But here, you can't just willy-nilly play.
Yeah.
So even people who like fighting video games don't transition well to this game. Because there's so much to think about. And like I said, it's not intuitive. Because you have to sit there and be like, okay, I need to explain to you what reveal means, what start means, what before means, what what hit, damage. Like, it has all these conditions that you have to take into consideration. And then, on top of that, be like, and I'm playing a character that I can use things to ignore that, And it's like, I know the novice fighters are meant to be easier to pick up, but I don't know. This is one of those, if someone wants to put in the time for it, then they like it, then that's how you get more people to play this with. But I would never go to a tournament for this.
Yeah.
I don't do tournaments because I get too stressed out anyway, and this one would just feel ultra bad.
Yeah.
Because in the early tournaments, I wanted to keep banter going. I didn't want dead space, so I wouldn't think optimally. And then I find I was losing a lot because I was just like, well, okay, let's just see if this works, and then it doesn't, and then it's like, I'm so fucking stupid. But then I was like, I don't give a fuck about dead space. I'm just gonna
play. I'm
actually gonna try and think, do what you do, and look at the shit, and just study it and analyze it, and then lo and behold, I started playing better. So the ultimate question, I think, of the tournament: do you think this game is balanced?
With 90 characters, it's impossible. You can't do it. You can't have every single one of them be equal. Are they balanced enough to keep it contentious? I do feel that way.
Yeah.
Yes. Are there going to be certain leans between certain fighters? Yes.
And certain, of course, play styles.
Right. But in their pursuit of, the sheer volume of characters, It's very difficult.
It is difficult.
So like I give him that, and I like the fact that it has so many fighters. That's really cool to me.
Yeah.
I like the tuck boxes. I love just having it all.
It is very nice. Yeah.
Very pleasing. But
and
not everything's going to be perfectly balanced. No.
That is true. I think in a general sense of balanced, like, because unfortunately between this and I'm gonna at least keep comparing it to a video game, because that's exactly what it replicates. They can patch video games. Mm-hmm. They can be like, oh, okay, this character hits a little too hard. Let's tweak his damage a little bit. This character isn't hit hard enough. Let's buff their damage. They can't do that here. And that makes it equally frustrating because it's like, if they release it, it's out there, and it's like, oh, this character is immediately broken. Mm-hmm. And the only way for them to fix it is for them to go out, print new cards, ship new cards, and most likely they're going to charge for it, and that's going to piss off people. Because it's like, it's your fuck up. You released a broken game. Why are we paying for that?
Yeah.
But with the current world set, especially with shipping being outrageous, it's just like they can't realistically do that. So I agree. I do think, in the general sense of 90 plus fighters, it is relatively balanced. Because I mean, if we look at, like, we had very little blowouts.
Yeah, usually they were alternating pretty well.
Yeah, Alexian versus Jaeger was initially a blowout. It wasn't as close as the final.
I don't know. I think Seth of the characters probably had the most blowouts. I feel like his fights would get pretty one-sided.
No, well, the Seth versus Caitlyn was closer, but that's because I didn't play Seth super well that game. Ended up winning, but it was like that was a long fight. The Seth versus Enderbite was pretty gross. Seth versus Lysandra, that was close. I feel like, I guess in terms of a blowout, I would consider.
I mean, you did start eating your own health, so that
is true. I did start trying. I was like, I can't beat him. Like, I need to rush this. So Seth versus Banebeard, that one was a blowout. What was this one? 9-0, the finale. I don't know. I would say a blowout is a 10 health differential. Okay. Because we can that's just my own personal thing.
Yeah.
Because 9 health to, let's just say 9-1. It's easy to hit someone for 6, and then now it's 3-1. Yeah. And we've seen games where they come back. O'Brien and Demetrius, I think, was a blowout, if I remember.
Yeah.
But probably out of all of the fights, maybe like close. Four that were just insanely disgusting.
Just a few points away.
I think the biggest one was Eric versus Enderbite.
Yeah.
Because all I did was keep Enderbite on the edge, and Eric couldn't close the gap.
Oh, God.
Because I made Enderbite to be all range. Eric was the one who could be like, I'm going to cancel before effect.
Oh, right. And God, he got mulched.
I just pushed him all the way to the back, and
God, he
couldn't counter.
Couldn't do it.
Couldn't outrange him. So, out of 30 plus, if we're not sitting here going, oh, well, half of them were, I had 15 health left by the end of it, then I'd say that's pretty damn good. And then I think within the Champion of Champions, which I'm glad we did, because I thought that was super fun with all of the just to see, because we did that again. If you didn't stay till the end of the finale, we did the Champion of Champions to try and simulate, can a novice, does the difficulty scale?
Yeah.
Can a novice beat an advanced? No, a novice couldn't even beat an intermediate. In this case, because Alexium lost to Jin, who's intermediate, and Banebeard lost to Seth, who's advanced. But it did come down to intermediate and advanced in the finals. I don't know. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts after playing novice, intermediate, and advanced? Do you think that they're appropriate, the difficulties?
Yeah, I felt like they did pretty well. I mean, some of them certainly felt a little more complicated than others. But in terms of what you have to think about and their difficulty, I feel like they're pretty accurate because your beginners are you're still using your core bases with a little bit of different flavorings to them, a little more range, a little more power, or maybe you're just swapping out your bases, like Gar.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward stuff. Maybe like an extra token that you keep track of. And then intermediate, okay, maybe you got a couple of tokens, maybe you have like a whole little deck of nonsense.
Yeah.
And then advanced, like maybe you're attacking from the opposite side of the map, and maybe you have 2 copies of yourself.
That's true.
And then each can play a base, and all this other nonsense.
Maybe you are completely customizable.
Yeah, maybe you're a complete, ground up robot.
Yeah. It seems like all the advanced ones had to do with something outside of the base game. Like, whereas Enderbite had to create his character. Eric was all about canceling very specific steps. Caitlyn had warp tokens, and Welsie was about pulling her cards back. Seth is about guessing a base. So, I also think... I think they're, once again, generally appropriate. There was one intermediate. She sucked. I hated her. She was, like, almost at the bottom. What was her stupid bitch-ass name? Xenicia, I think. Xenicia was the blood mage. I was sitting there, and I was like... I felt she should have been advanced. But overall, yeah, I'd probably keep them where they're at. Maybe a few go up or go down.
Yeah.
But the best thing about BattleCon, besides number of fighters, is the fact that since there are so many, you have play styles, which I very much enjoy.
Right. And, we haven't tried it yet, but yeah, there is a tag team mode. Like they've claimed to balance it, that where you can play like 3v1, and it would be perfectly normal. Like there's like a buff for the 1, and then the other 3, or the 2. And that's where the Almighty and the Exceed come in.
Okay.
So like if you're, 3-on-1, that person's gonna be Almighty. Everyone else is normal.
I see.
Interesting.
Okay, so it's similar to kind of like the 1v, that Street Fighter had that we did a while back, where it's like, I just hit super hard, and but there's 3 of you. Yeah, we haven't tried any of that since.
Or any of the boss fights. I mean, unfortunately, someone has to play the boss.
Yeah.
And that's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, we've tried the co-op. That was kind of...
It was like, it's like little static characters, and you have to take into account, but it's like...
And they didn't have any of the tokens that made them relevant. You had to use the weird...
I mean, it was neat, but it's like we're not coming back for it.
Right.
It's like if we're going to do some kind of like dungeon game, there's so many more that are like... I mean, that's just gives you a way to play BattleCon without someone else, I guess.
Yeah.
That's like the only way is do the dungeon thing. And so you have static stats and your own attack routines.
But dear God.
And a completely unbalanced loot purchasing system.
Oh, I know, yeah. It's a mess. It either needed more time to cook or just don't have it.
Yeah.
But we haven't tried any of the alternative bases besides what Gar had. He's the only one that had different ones. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
They.
Oh well, whatever. But I think because one thing we also kind of quit doing was at the very beginning that you could tell how we were kind of getting over the tournament. We used to be like, why are these 2 people fighting? Giving it some lore.
Yeah, I know. It's like, come on, get to it.
You're right. It's like, let's just start. Let's talk about the characters, and maybe we'll come up with something. Because, man, we underestimated our love for this game as we kept playing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately, this went better than my Dice Throne tournament. I'm very happy with how the finale ended. All the characters who were there, I felt deserved to be there. Because we started alternating, so it was like, it felt fair. I mean, because luckily there's nothing about this game where it's like, well, you only won because, the die went your way. You know, it's like, nope, you beat me. But yeah, I really... Oh, no, let's definitely talk about this. Finishers suck.
Yeah, they're very difficult to use.
Yeah, they are almost always never an option.
It's incredibly rare.
We had, out of all of the games, 2 finishers? Maybe? Maybe 1 or 2 more, but I know for a fact Bainveer, in his win against Gar, we both did that, it canceled yours, that's how he won. And then Lysandra beat Oriax? Yeah, beat out Oriax because of her ultimate of the final, surviving one more round.
Yeah.
And I guess when you can pull them off, it feels so badass. but it's like, fuck. You have two options, and one of them is always null. Mm-hmm. It's just like, if anything gives you a card or a special ability, it's not happening.
Yeah. The modes are just very... Short of having, like, more health or something along those lines, the modes are fucking rough.
Yeah.
To use. By that time,
modes,
we're always at, like, 3 or 4 hit points.
Yeah.
One hit's gonna fucking wreck you. It's
right.
like, okay,
it's like,
so I deal 1 more damage or 2 more damage permanently, and I have such and such static armor, but we're both down to, like, 2 hit points.
Exactly. Or like his Fortune Buster, where it's like, oh, well, that's if you're eliminated. The other one is for the rest of the duel, your opponent sets their style face up before you pick. It's like, that sounds amazing, but by the time I'm even able to do that, first of all, I'd have to hit, which is range 1 to 3. So they're already difficult to actually pull off, because they're not just something that happens.
Right.
So it's like, some of them have conditions, range, or hit, or damage, or whatever, and it's just like, if it's like this at any given moment, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get it, and you have your wings, and you're just like, boop, and then you burst back or something, and it's like, oh, great, I wasted my entire thing and all my force.
Yeah, if they had something to where, like, modes just, like, instantly happened, and then you still got to set up an attack pair.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I would almost house rule, and I hope anyone says it has tried this and can let me know if it worked, if you don't have a force cap.
Yeah.
Like, it's supposed to be 10. You keep the rule that to activate your ult, you...
I mean, that's assuming you go 10 rounds and are still above 10 health.
That's true. But then you're gaining... Yeah, you're right.
This game, I mean, big chunks of health at a time, short of, like, a really stretched out one. We did one really stretched game.
Yeah, we had, like, 5 or 6 force left. Which was awful.
I think it was Caitlyn Seth was a pretty long one.
That was a long one. I think there was one before that had lasted a significant amount of time.
Yeah.
And these games are not entertaining enough to warrant stretching out. Like, I think an hour is about a cap. When we're hitting an hour and a half, I'm like, I am over this. I don't fucking care. I'm trying to throw over here to lose. But yeah, because it's like, it's hard to fix. You're right. You'd have to go 10 rounds and hope and save all that up just to then be like, well...
So I don't... It's difficult. The modes are unusual. And they're usually, like, in the fact that they're their own attack.
Yeah.
And they're usually, like, an underwhelming attack. Like, high priority, low damage.
Yeah, like, this thing fucking sucks. I mean, yeah, I hit you for 1 power, and it ignores guard and armor, so I'm guaranteed to stun you. But it's like, oh, yay, now I get to see your style. Which is huge. I mean, that's a good ability.
Right.
But for it to be just so situational, you're never picking that. And then I get they tried to fix it with the Switch to be like, oh, well, I picked this, but that's not going to go off. Okay, well, I'll play my Switch and swap it. Oh, wait, but you've seen me swap it. So now you're... Yeah, it's just... They suck. Finishers suck.
Yeah. I mean... Yeah, because I know they didn't want to make finishers like a game ender. They wanted to make it like a very likely to end the game.
Yeah.
But they still have to give you an out. And when you only have, like, 5 different, bases, it's like, one of them does it, and then you always have an out.
Yeah, and it used to be...
It's like, and you're staring right at the finish of the whole game. It's like, okay, I see what you could do.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to read. It's like, okay, if they activate the finisher, that's what's going on.
It'd be nice if you could also combine, like, maybe a base with it to kind of mitigate some of the very specific, like range 1 to 3. Okay, well, that's hard for him to get. So maybe I can do like a burst or something that can get me to keep it in range.
Yeah.
Just to make it somewhat more viable. Because before they revamped the entire system, it was, I think you had to have below 10 health? Below 10 or 7?
I think it was 7.
Okay, you had to have below 7, then you can just activate it whenever. Force didn't exist.
Yep.
And
that was like the very early game, and then there's like a roller for the rounds.
Yep. Oh, you're right.
And then before Force was even a thing.
Yep, you're right.
Then Force came in and just kind of modified, and then it became the timer ultimately.
Yeah.
And then they added these, which I do really like these.
I do too.
Very nice tactical buff.
Yeah. This is probably your only randomizer because you can't really account for what an opponent's going to do. Like, at least I have never once thought about you using those. Like, I think about, oh, what's his potential, like, priority, for example, and if it's this, then I'm going to need to speed up to go faster, but maybe very rarely I just subconsciously think, oh, if he also speeds up, then it nullifies that, and I'm still going to go last. But other than that, yeah, I like these as well, because I don't think they're busted.
Yeah, just a little buff here and there. Maybe the speed up can be fucking busted because priority is so huge in this game.
It can, but I feel like with priority, it's like, okay, you're going first, and sometimes that might actually work against you. Or it's like, okay, well, I'm probably going last anyway, so the character you're playing might not care.
Yeah.
I honestly think the defense up is the weakest.
Yeah.
Because so many attacks do 4 or 5 damage.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't have a lot of guard built in. It's
Exactly.
Like extra 2.
Yeah, and there's ignore guard, so, I spent my force to defense up, didn't matter, you ignored it. Or, you powered up, I'm defensing up to try and counteract that, but I had 2 guard, that puts him to 4, you dealt 5 damage.
Yeah.
Shit, didn't work anyway. I'm not saying, like, double it or anything, I think plus 4 guard would just be disgusting, but maybe plus 3?
Maybe.
I think power up needs to stay. Plus 1. Speed up, I think 2 is a pretty good, because it's enough to counter clashes for the most part, which are still cancer in this game. Clashes are garbage. I hate them, but I like the fact that in the new version they added the tiebreaker, so it came up. Clashes came up less often. So yeah, I think, in my personal opinion, defense up is probably the weakest. I think maybe a plus 3 guard might make it more viable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Finishers just make me sad.
Yeah.
I almost would prefer using force specifically for this, and that being able to use your finisher if you're below 7 health.
Yeah, that wouldn't be...
It was originally a catch-up mechanism. Like, if you're at 15, I'm at 7. Oh, well, now I'm doing this thing that hits for 8. And now we're caught back up, and it's a little bit more fair, because you can still only do it once. And if they're going to be so stringent on, range and priority and all that, where they can still be beaten, it's like, okay, well then maybe have a little more leeway when you can use it.
Yeah, I can't say. Right.
I
definitely see what they're going for. But yeah, we certainly, in the number of fights that we have played, modes, we never use modes.
No, I think I've tried.
Maybe in different... Yeah, I remember you trying once. Maybe in different play mods when you have more health, or say, like a team or something. There's like one that might be really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely in the core 1v1 style.
At 20 health.
At 20 health, they're not super effective.
Yeah. Well, even like you said, with the 10 force cap, even at 30 health, it's like it doesn't matter. Now it's even worse because if I saved up my 10 force, I have to be at 10 health.
Yeah.
Which is still disgusting. I guess it just makes it longer of rounds for for someone to gather 10 force, and it's like 10 health, boom, here it is. I don't know. They're just ass all around. We're sitting here naming 4 or 5 different ways to fix them, and none of them sound great.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, would you say the tournament was a success?
Yeah.
Did you have a good time?
We played the game. We both bought. And we actually, put some time into it.
We did. A year of gaming.
Like about every other week. Picking up a few games here and there.
Yep.
So yeah. It's like, it was neat, but I'm kind of ready to be done. I'm ready for a break.
I am too.
Let's play some cooperative games, Seth. Let's get along.
Yep. And let's not tally up who won more games and who's better than who in real life.
I can't tell you how many off-screen fist fights we've had.
Yeah, the one time where it's like sitting after novice tournament, maybe 2, it's like, I think I hate this game.
I think I want to fucking kill myself.
I might cut my wrist. All right, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give BattleCon?
I still like it, and for the niche folk, it's a really neat game. I love owning this game. I still want to give it a 9. I still really enjoy it. It's got some cool mechanics. I do. I like this game. It's hard to get played, and it's kind of pricey, but it's really neat. It's just a neat game. Definitely a cool collector's item, in my opinion.
It's definitely better than Exceed. Like Exceed is just, it's this, but totally random because there's a deck. But I am dropping my score if I did give it a 9 because you're right. No one plays this game, so it's only getting played when we're doing it. Even you and I are tired of it. It has a lot of cool things. It is the best, probably one of the best 1v1 fighting games, or just 1v1 games in general, that also mimics a traditional, video game fighting game.
Yeah.
So it has a lot going for it, but the it's not intuitive. The gray area, the no support, can get extremely frustrating. So I think I will drop it to. I think I'm gonna drop it to a 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good that's still an above average game. Like I would still play BattleCon anytime someone asked me to. Like even after this, if we were just to be like, hey, let's just see Alexian versus O'Brien. Let's just see what would have been.
Yeah.
Just to fucking see. That's one of the best things about it, is that if you have played this game, then it is just, oh, let's grab this fighter and this fighter and boom, and then let's just play. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with a solid 7.
Okay. Yeah.
Could be an 8 if we didn't just play, like if we didn't do the whole tournament. But I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah.
But that is our thoughts on BattleCon, the tournament, and the game itself. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.